Hi, Vitaly. Very nice to have you on our show, and welcome to the first event of 2021. Before we start, I'd just like to ask you a little bit about your background. And I know that the last part before you did your startup was at Google and as a data specialist. But prior to that, would you share a little bit about how you got to Google?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the fireside. And hello, Amrit, and glad to talk to you. So before Google, I just got lucky to get there, and I didn't work there long, but it was a great experience. So I was studying in mathematics. My bachelor was there, and then I was looking also for the job. Like kind of part-time, but actually it realized I get there in full-time job in parallel with my studies, but it was just flexible. So I was managed to do like in 2-3 days the volume of work that I have that I had to be done in 7 days. Yeah.
Wow,
basically.
that's a super good achievement. So you've compressed all your work into 3, so half the time.
Yes.
Fabulous. And okay, so when you started this idea so you actually soon after Google, did you actually work anywhere else before you started the startup?
Yes, then I joined the company providing corporate education. And I headed a small IT department, so we did online platforms for several multinational companies. So there I got my programming skills, and I also parallelly studied programming. Then I realized that I need some business touch before starting my own business because that was a dream for a long time. And then I was working in corporate investment banking. So I joined one Russian bank. I did sales and trading there as part of investment banking. And then I joined a Japanese bank. And there I was working with corporate clients like car manufacturers, technology companies, and some of the traditional areas. And from there, I reallocated to Hong Kong to do what I'm doing now 100%.
So were you in Japan for your Japanese bank, or were you in Hong Kong?
No. I was actually I'm from Russia, so I was in Moscow there. So half of our office were Japanese and half Russians. So
Great.
we had this great kind of interaction.
So working with car manufacturers and stuff, did you come up with the idea by yourself? How did that come about with what you're doing with Parkingbnb?
Actually, like the idea came from my colleague. So he went to a trip with his family, visited several countries, and then he complained a lot. Oh, I visited those countries. I downloaded 3 different apps, and none of them helped me to find parking. So that's where the idea came first. Yeah, and because I thought that why not to start the entrepreneurial journey right now, because also previously, like in parallel, I had a non-profit organization. It's called Moscow Financial Club. So we were working with several like European organizations for the financial literacy development. So
Great. So it was this idea of doing this came from him, but how did you validate that this was a pain point that you'd see, and which market did you decide to test it out on?
Sure. So basically, like we already like form a small team of our friends that were interested in our idea, and then we started research. So I also was traveling a little bit for work and visited some countries and asked people about their parking problems, what are the solutions in the market. Then we basically get downloaded the database of around 400 companies around the world that are doing parking solutions. And we understood so far that most of them focusing on a parking booking model. So this is like booking.com or similar to Airbnb. And the problem that is when people pre-book parking, for example, for 3 hours, and they have a problem if they stuck in the traffic or change their mind. And people don't have that motivation to keep their booking in comparison with the hotel or flat, because like parking ticket is much less. So they have less responsibility for that. But at the same time, the property owners or owners of car parks, they couldn't rent out their parking spaces with this system. And like the companies, they didn't keep track on the information from car parks. So sometimes people got into the location and there is another building. And other related to this business model problems that we understood didn't make those companies so far Airbnb or Uber for parking. Yeah.
Okay.
And we came up to a different idea. Yeah.
So when you actually validated and you saw this, was it actually did a trial, or did you do an MVP before you started? So you downloaded all the data, and I would assume that it would have been, you know, searching on Google for keywords and stuff like that. But in understanding each of those companies that were actually doing this, did you actually go and try out when you're overseas to try their apps, or was it just a phone call in theory?
We did the surveys like when we were traveling or in our home. We talked with drivers, we talked with property owners, basically making a list of all the problems. We did download different apps, so and try the user experience and see all the like Google Play or App Store reviews, what are the problems over there with the app, so to understand how the market looks like.
Great. So why, so eventually when you're traveling at different parts of the world, where did you conclude would be the ideal place? Which market was it to start and why?
Yes, so basically the turning point was my friend. He's now in Japan, but before he was working in Hong Kong as IT specialist. So we were playing frisbee with him during like university years, and he invited me to visit him, and I ordered the phone in Hong Kong, and I thought it's going to be a great spot, because like ordering phones in Hong Kong because of the tax free is the cheapest. So there was also motivation to come to Hong Kong. Then I met with him. He introduced me to Sethi. I really liked the vibe, many people, and good kind of atmosphere. Everyone is working, so that always motivates me to work too. And then he introduced me to like Invest Hong Kong. This is the government organization helping like foreigners to come and do business in Hong Kong. And they said, oh, this is a good idea and it's the right time for you. So, and we started to do our research. We did some like modeling, which location is the best, and we identify that Hong Kong is the best market for us. And I can give like the main reason are, first of all, like Hong Kong government funding support, because the technology wise, Hong Kong was not in the first place in Asia, because traditionally Hong Kong is financial and trading place, logistics as well. Then in 2017, there was a blueprint for the funding of technology startups. Then basically Hong Kong Science Park that we are part of, also a great program with the grant and facilities, especially like the office, free office space that is very difficult in Hong Kong given high prices for real estate. And of course, high prices for the properties, meaning that here is a good business for properties, and parking is the actually property business, as we realized. Another basically reason is that we came up to our business model that we need to do some like car plate recognition cameras to automate the driver's journey. And Shenzhen is a good place to get the components for the hardware part that we are doing. Yeah.
So you actually then decided on Hong Kong. Did you get the government funding first and then start your MVP, or did you do the pitch in a competition, or was it Invest Hong Kong asking for an application just for startups that may want to consider this formula?
So basically, we get the arrangement with the science park, and we got into the due diligence process. So it took us a few months. At the same time, like when I arrived to Hong Kong, again I went to the FinTech Week. There I met with the guy which is now my good friend in Hong Kong, and he is our first investor. So basically, I was going around the event and trying to pitch to the investor, and at the end he said like, "Oh, actually, why not me to be your investor?" And that is the first funding we received. Then we got admitted to the Hong Kong Science Park program and received the government funding. Yeah.
So how did you, in terms of evaluating the worth of your company in order to get investment and see what it was for, this investor to invest, for not having not having a business yet, did you have just a pitch? Were you actually exhibiting, or were you just roaming the floor?
Basically, what we did is presentation, pitch deck, financial model, and we did the MVP of our mobile app.
Okay. And when you did your evaluation for your business, how did you determine what is the sort of the minimum entry and the burn rate?
We did the financial model and we estimated what are the resources that we need to start this business. Basically, it's like brainstorming by friends, and because we are from financial industry that time, so we knew the basics of company valuation, and like for the startups, you just get the high discount rate to accommodate high risk of investing in a startup. Basically, that was the entering point for this. Yeah.
So in your choices of investors, did you vet them? Because, obviously there's sometimes investors wanting to have their involvement in the business. Did you demand certain performances from investors or vice versa, and to make sure that you're compatible to each other?
In terms of investors, definitely we had a very tough journey. First of all is that our business model is not that easy to understand, because we have mobile app, we have like parking management system, we have hardware part. Even though like we do understand the market, we do understand the infrastructure in general, but it was very difficult to communicate it with investors. And everyone know that property owners are very conservative. They are very big. They like very accountable for their clients, and the decision making is a very tough process for them. So most of the investors, they didn't believe that we going to do any next steps, especially that we will convince anyone to install our solution first time.
So of course, then your model actually for this, and you actually had three things going. Normally, a startup is actually told to just simplify and keep to one particular special vertical, but you managed to look at three facets in the business to try and solve. But if that was the case, then you had to work with both the B2B and B2C. to be able to capture, the supply of the parking spaces and also to get drivers. So which way around did you start?
Yeah, so basically, to explain our business model and the idea, we are tracking real-time occupancy in car parks and then navigating the drivers through our mobile app to those closest and cheapest car parks with enough spaces upon arrival. So this is more similar to the Uber model, I would say. So we're treating parking as a commodity. And in this case, we need to supply equipment to those car parks if they don't have this infrastructure. So we do motivate property owners to share the occupancy because in the algorithm of optimal parking, which is available in our app, we account for the real-time occupancy because this is the way how we can guarantee parking both for drivers and property owners. So that's why like the model is pretty difficult. We need to negotiate with the property owners whether for them to share the data or for them to install our cameras for car plate recognition that do the occupancy. And we need also to offer the value for the drivers. So in our business model, there is a chicken and egg problem that the more car parks with our system we have, the more it makes sense for the drivers to use our app. And the more drivers we have in our app, the more we can convince property owners to work with us because we can use their promotions, for example, from shopping malls or business centers and notify our users that they can park there, eat and get free parking hours. So yeah, this is the business idea of us. Yeah.
So when you did the business idea, you had the model, you had a concept. When you had to approach enterprises with working out the deals and then convincing big property developers where there's a lot of red tape, how did you go about that to win their hearts?
Back the time when we were looking for the first clients, there was no COVID, no protests, so there were a lot of events. So we targeted events for like to search investors and to search the clients. We did a lot of work on thinking how to approach the property owners because property owners are big, especially the market is pretty saturated in Hong Kong. So there are like thousands of people working, they are involved in different businesses. And to search for a person which is at least somehow close to decision maker, somehow related to the parking, which is not the main business for property owners because they don't do as much money as they do when they're renting out the office spaces or flats. So it was a big challenge for us, and we tried to search any point of contacts that we at least can ask for a referral. So first of our clients, they like one client came from the conference. So they were looking for smart parking solutions specifically. So we got lucky that we exhibited in like Start Me Up HK that time, and one booth by Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund competition. Another client we got from the mass media exposure. We got article in iMoney, Hong Kong Economic Times, and then the property owner call us directly and ask about our solution if they can try. So, and the rest of the clients, basically we got through referrals. So now, yeah, like some cold calling help us to be in the database of potential vendors property owners track, but none of the cold calls realized in the commercial contract so far.
Okay. So I'm curious to know how you talked about the protest and before the protest, but now since post that and with COVID, how has it affected your business?
Basically, we target the most business points now is collaborating with property owners, because we're still building the infrastructure to offer to our end users for drivers. So basically, one of the first steps to install our parking system is to meet with property owner and arrange a site visit. But because of the work from home arrangement, because of the policy that no guests or like vendors are allowed to meet to protect the employees of the company, so we couldn't even meet to see the car park, and we couldn't do any estimations. And in general, the business atmosphere during the COVID is there is no certainty where things will finish. So any plans, for example, to proceed the installation where people even cannot meet makes no sense. So that created some of the barriers for us to develop. But at the same time, we had a lot of things to do on a technical side. So our IT team kept on working hard to create more and more features to enhance our value proposition to property owners. Yeah.
So, and are you connecting? Are you still keeping some sort of notifications or any sort of small hellos to your B2C clients, just so that you're remembered?
Yes, in terms of B2C clients, like first of all, the the drivers using parking, they are free of charge, and basically, unless there are some other arrangements, we are exploring also like VIP parking or like subscription based in our app. At the same time, what we recently started to build is actually ecosystem in our app, because like in our app we have like a payment system for parking, we have a chat with a customer service and a booking system like search engine, and now we're connecting other car services to transfer it to one app with different car services, so the drivers just need to download one app and use different services at once. And then it's turning out to be more exposure to a B2C business. Yeah.
So, are you are you actually having quite a high burn rate through the tech side of your development, post development in this interim time?
We have like, I would say we have lower burn rate than average have, at least in Hong Kong, because we have some people working from like Eastern Europe, where and from my hometown, where like IT resources are cheaper, and basically the heritage of Soviet Union that was being very good in mathematics, IT, and other sciences. So it gives like high efficiency in terms of IT development, but low costs. So
yeah, like you cited, you did your work in 3.5 days when it was worth 7. So I can only imagine that you're a model Russian for efficiency. How do you sort of see yourself in adding value in terms of having seen the COVID times? I guess you are contactless payment, and that's a big win for you in this sort of environment where nobody wants to exchange money. But what other things are you doing to from here on as a new normal? And what are the other added pivots that you may actually from this circumstance?
Sure. So yes, first of all, one of the value we're giving now for the property owners and drivers, we installed the contactless system for parking. So when the driver arrived to a car park, there is a car plate recognition. So the barrier opens automatically in advance. So there is no need to stop and use your card or scan any QR code. So it's a fully touchless experience. And then at the exit, the same experience, barrier opens automatically, and the charge proceeds through the mobile app. This is the first part of our contactless solution. Another part we already rolled out with one of our clients and partners, one of the shopping malls, for example, is like scanning the QR code to reimburse coupons from shops and restaurants, including the free parking hours. So basically the idea is, instead of collecting the receipts, go to customer service, handle the receipts, then get them back, then give your credit card or Octopus card to adjust for the discount or parking hours. So there is a lot of human touch. In our case, just open the app, scan the QR code with the distance in a cashier, and then go pick up your card and run out of the car park. So, and another one is automation for the security guards. So in many cases in Hong Kong, like if there is a problem, like there is like Octopus card, I ran out of money, and there are people at the end, so there are security guards coming, window go down, some people not wearing masks, so there is a lot of human interaction. In our platform, basically the guards can use their phone or tablet, and after the car plate recognition, they can realize which is the type of the driver, hourly or monthly, or if any other problem they can see in the database, and they can click to open the barrier from their phone. So there is no human touch, and yeah, this is the positive kind of experience both for drivers and the property owner.
So I know that you're actually obviously doing some sort of smart solutions, and what are the smart city solutions do you think will benefit the society as a whole in the new normal beyond the contactless? Do you have any other verticals that you stemmed from here that you feel is going to be adding value and solution and benefit to the society?
Sure. I think in general, one of the biggest things nowadays is mobility. It was very important before the virus, and even more important now during the virus, because a lot of interaction goes through people that are commuting to work, to shopping malls, to friends, and so on and so forth. So basically, mobility is a huge thing. And also, I think mobility was underestimated, because like those transportation types, vehicles, they are connecting people from one location to another location. And those locations can pick up, I would say, guests in advance, and involve them into the journey. So for example, like Uber, or like they getting the car, if there is information can be passed to the property, and they can understand what is the profile of the person coming in, and they can offer some unique experience. Like in our case, for example, if people disclose their birthday, we install the entrance screen, and we on the birthday day, after the car plate recognition, we show like, oh, happy birthday, Ben. Welcome to the car park of this building. So this kind of interactions, I think it's one of the future and also the data behind it, because there are still a lot of like traffic, bad situation where people die, and a lot of these things can be improved by studying the driver behavior, by automating the vehicles to basically to avoid a human factor when they are tired after work, or any operating problems or any health issues. So all these things, they are helping to lower the death rate and increase safety of the people. So yeah, I think this one of the main points, in my opinion, that are very important for the future. Yeah.
So when you say, I'm curious to know this for myself, I mean, if people are actually pro-diabetic and they would have then a high risk of having bad eyesight, do you then prompt it that they need to do a checkup, or it's your time for an annual checkup? What is it that you would put into the app in terms of variables?
Yes, basically, for example, like if we're talking about the future of the person, like we all have our tracking devices like Apple Watch or other bracelets, then they have this information to pass even to a doctor. I heard that Apple launching some of this kind of platform. So the world is getting more interconnected. More data is passed to different parties. Of course, there is some privacy concern, and unless people, unless companies understand the way how they can protect the data, for example, with blockchain, one of the solution, then the more data can be disclosed and more things can be taken into account. So in the future, for example, if you go out of your home, you are in the transport, like the device understand that you're feeling bad, and they already passed the signal to call the doctor. You stop by the the vehicle stop, then the doctors get you to help. And if you go at the same time, like even like the facial expressions now with the AI, they got recognized. So for example, you coming to the building, your facial expression is like happy or maybe angry, and then the shopping mall engine will suggest you, oh, go to that shop that will make you happy, or go to dine in that location. So these things are now actively how to say studied, and some of them already implemented in retail, in transportations. So I think this is for sure our future, where like any our breath will be already caught by some solution and try to serve us in this way. That may sound crazy, but yeah, we will see how far this technology can go.
So I guess that there are a lot of startup and founders who've actually gone through a lot of turbulent times. I'd like you to share, as a startup founder yourself, a message for startup founders listening in and listening later. What would you be saying to them in terms of the core key ingredients to, to weather the storm?
I pretty much understand like the situation of the founders, especially after the crisis brought by COVID, and especially so many travel related startups got through very difficult times. And for the founders, it's a very high responsibility for their business, for their clients, for their employees, and the mental problem and mental related issues like increased during these times. So it's very important to be mentally stable. So basically, stress is one of the biggest problems for all the founders in general, and especially when there is a crisis situation. So I think the secret from my side is how do you perceive life in general, and what is your attitude towards this? Because like what is the source of the stress is the fear over some future events. So when there are some things going unexpected, like the founders, they start to be scared. Oh, we're not going to realize that contract. Oh, we need to go through difficult times. We will run out of the money. We need to close the company. We need to lay off the employees. So it's all accumulated in their mind and makes them crazy. So I think like there is no need to focus on the future because it's very unexpected. Everything can change. Like tomorrow can be different as we expected today. So anything can happen, and nobody knew like 2 years ago that COVID will come to the market. So I think one of the things is not to be kind of in trap of your thoughts, so in trap of your fears over the futures or the future. Like to stay calm is better to focus on the time now, on your current situation, because only the situation now we can control. We can do whatever we want. So we need to keep in mind the strategy. We need to in advance like do some scenario analysis and take into account any crisis situation, and do behave like in the stress situation that you already kind of input in your financial model, I would say. But don't allow yourself to the stress, the fear to overcome, and then everything will be fine. We all in the same situation. We all going through difficult times, and I think another benefit and secret of being successful is to make friends with others and be in partnership with more and more companies, and like give up like competition, which makes in most cases makes no sense. Try to make friends and go the same journey together. We are all in the same situation, so I think it's a good time to work together.
Excellent. Yeah. What are some of your favorite books, just to wrap up? And I'm just curious to know what has inspired you or has helped you along the way that you would recommend to other startup founders to read?
Yes, I believe like the secret of like being successful in business is, first of all, to have your basics like stable is psychology. So that's why I would say I can recommend 2 books that make my kind of perception of the world 180. So first one is the Eckhart Tolle, The New Earth. So, and I would recommend to read this book first. So it's somehow to understand in general the perception of the world, why we are here, and what is the happiness. So another book that I would recommend to read, the second, it's called Transurfing. It's as soon as I remember, is Zeland, is the author, his surname. So it's kind of giving the same idea as Eckhart Tolle about perceiving your life, but giving you extra motivation, not only how to calm down and be like understand the value of life, the happiness, but also to make you to realize your dreams in the efficient ways.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to leave it for Margaret, who's gathered up a lot of Q&As for you. So I'll have Margaret now take over. Thank you very much, Vitaly, for a very enriching fireside chat.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, Jens here. We're trying to, Margaret is trying to get online to get her picture.
How about you read the questions you had out?
Oh, I will do so. Yeah. So, well, there was a question first from Stephen Chung. So from founder of Seaplane in Hong Kong. So what do investors ask for in return for your investment? I mean, or what did you give them in return, especially early ones and so on?